Hello, folks. Welcome to the Conexus Cultivator Startup Summit. I, Karma, your effervescent host with the most, am here to bring you the latest and greatest from our vibrant tech scene right here in Saskatchewan. Now, tech in our hometown of Regina is more than just circuits and algorithms, my friends. It's the pulsating heart powering our growth, carving our identity in the world. And speaking of powerhouses, let's not forget the brilliant work done by Conexus Cultivator, the wizards shaping our tech ecosystem. We've got a jam-packed roster for you surrounding the importance of tech, the role of Conexus Cultivator, our journey at the summit, and much more. I'll be sharing my first-hand experiences, spilling the tea on all things tech. Trust me, folks. Excited isn't even the word. It's like gearing up for a rocket launch. Now, you see, Dale, my fabulous co-host wasn't there, so he'll be the curious cat catching up on all the details. You ready, Dale? Buckle up, because we're heading straight into the universe of startups. But hold up there. Let's not move on without giving a shout out to our remarkable friends over at BudSense. Got a cannabis dispensary? Graham cracker sandwich. Do they cure your digital menu woes, managing everything like a smooth symphony conductor? Ain't no one molding digital menus in cannabis like BudSense. Believe me, folks, with BudSense, you're in good hands. From managing paper cannabis menus to simplifying your life and satisfying customers, they got you covered. So, without further ado, allow me to open the airwaves to our fantastic co-host, Dale. The spotlight's on you, maestro. Get set, chat. Let's dive into the tech geyser that's Saskatchewan.
Well, how about that for an introduction, eh? Karma, you sure know how to keep things spicy. As for me, folks, picture a cyber Jedi with the allure of an anarchist punk who prefers to let his code do the talking. I go by the name Dale, broadcasting live and in color from the city that never sleeps. Yeah, Karma's right. I missed the dashing circus that was the Conexus Cultivator Startup Summit. But fear not, tech enthusiasts. Your punk rocker is here to dig out the nitty-gritty details, unearth those hidden gems Karma might have missed. Before we deep dive into the tech ecosystem, gotta make a shout out to our friends at Zelfit.io. Want to be the superhero for your fitness clientele? Oh, you bet. Zelfit.io's got your back faster than, the flash on a caffeine rush. Workout logging, progress tracking, insightful feedback all packed in there tighter than a New York subway at peak hour. Not to mention the sweet trophies and badges the app dishes out when you conquer fitness milestones. Remember, life's a game. Why shouldn't fitness be the same? So strap in, folks. Get your mugs filled. 'Cause it's about to get techno-freaky, Saskatchewan style. Listening to the experiences of industry veterans like Jordan Bush of 7 Shifts. Must have been a treasure chest of wisdom. And how did it feel to get someone on one time with Startup TNT? It feels like an exhilarating roller coaster ride of learning and growth we are on, right? Oh, and BudSense, managing digital menus for dispensaries? Talk about blazing a trail. I mean, managing menus might seem trivial, but in an industry like cannabis with ever-changing inventories and strains, that's like finding a beacon in a dense fog. Kudos to Brendan for his insights. I can't forget to mention Lauren Arnold, Nora Jenkins-Townsend, and Craig Elias. Their insights into PR, human resources, and sales must have been incredibly valuable. Incredible. But how did the evening wrap up, Karma? Our listeners must be at the edge of their seats wanting to know more about the startups that showcase their amazing skills. I seriously can't wait for the Day 2 recap. What aspects blew your mind? Which startups caught your eye? But I'm getting ahead of myself here, huh? Spill the beans about the rest of Day 1, Karma. The mic's all yours.
That gulp of anticipation you just took, Dale, signals the moment we've all been waiting for. There's a humming crescendo chasing down our nerves, isn't there? Dale, I wouldn't be doing justice to our listeners if I didn't paint a vivid picture of how the night unfurled. As Alex bid us adieu, a different energy filled the room. The curtains were lifted on the stage of innovation, and each startup was waiting in the wings, armed with unwavering determination and brilliant minds. The highlight of the night? It was like walking into a bustling bazaar of groundbreaking ideas. Every corner witnessed the prowess of Regina's homegrown tech revolution. There was no stone left unturned, and let me tell you, a tech enthusiast's heart would dance a polka to the rhythm of discovery. I saw a glimpse of the future, Dale. Of a world reshaping itself, pushing the boundaries, and embracing change. But wrapping up Day 1? That's like putting a bookmark in an absorbing novel, knowing you're stepping into an exhilarating chapter next. The night did end, Dale, but only to rise to another thrilling dawn at the summit. Buckle up, Dale. Day 2 is going to take us on a wild tour. Are you ready?
Well, folks, as you're all aware, we're dialing into the heart of the tech revolution here, as Karma so vividly painted for us. In between these sound waves, we've navigated glass towers of innovation, rubbed shoulders with industry luminaries, and peeked into the future. Talk about a buzz, and hey, isn't it great that we're all in this together? You, me, and Karma, unraveling the big events of the summit virtually? Let's steer this ship into your dock now. It's time we tap into the pulsating energy of our fabulous listeners. Oh, I feel the thrill. Folks, brace yourselves as we're about to lift the veil. It's your turn to plug into this great show. Are you having any burning questions? Do you feel like jumping onto the tech carousel? Or are there any nuggets from the giants of the industry you're itching to explore further? Maybe you just want to share your impressions. Now, haven't we always loved stories around the campfire? So come on, let's kick up the embers and see where our collective curiosity leads us. Remember, the stronger the breeze, the higher the flames. So hold on to your earphones, folks, because this is about to get electrifying. Let's dive into that ocean of calls. Here's one. Fly us towards your starlit question. All right, dear caller, you are live and broadcasting across the tech cosmos. Enlighten us.
Hello, Karma and Dale. Bonjour. This is Michelle Lavoie calling in. And what a festin of information you two are cooking up on this show. Karma, your firsthand account of Summit Day 1 is like a goulash of tech knowledge, hearty and filled with diverse flavors. It got me wondering, did you get an opportunity to maybe sample some local food between sessions? And Dale, my friend, as someone who has lived in a kitchen, I think of startups a bit like creating a new recipe. Sometimes you've got to make multiple attempts, tweak ingredients, pairings, cooking times until you strike the exact taste, right? So from your perspective, what essential ingredients make for a successful tech startup? Merci. And let's continue this delightful feast of conversation, shall we?
Well, bonjour to you too, Michelle. It's quite the feast indeed. Each session at the summit like another course and a complete meal, right? On to your tech food analogy. You got it, Meek. A successful startup is like a well-cooked dish. Let's see. The first ingredient? Vision, my friend. Your recipe's gonna fall flat without it. Next up, you need persistence. Like kneading dough until your arms are sore, but you keep at it because fresh baked bread is worth it. Then you add a healthy measure of courage. Challenge the status quo and don't be afraid to fail. Add a sprinkle of teamwork because no chef can work alone, and a dash of innovation to spice things up. Next, you mix it all together, pop it in the tech oven of hard work, and watch it morph into something beautifully appetizing. Voila! You've got yourself a tech startup that's ready to surprise the world. Now, Karma, since Michelle's got my 2 cents, how about you? What indispensable ingredients do you think makes a startup tick?
Absolutely, Dale. It's like you've been eavesdropping on my musings. I totally concur. The success of a startup hinges on those key ingredients you've listed, but allow me to add zest to this tech-flavored feast with a couple of other elements I view as irreplaceable. Adaptability is the lifesaver ring floating amid the tumultuous tech startup sea. It's essential to oscillate with agility in reaction to the capricious tides of business, be it grasping rapid technology changes, responding to shifts in the market landscape, or acclimatizing your offering to suit customer demand. And let's not forget the secret sauce, passion. Yes, my friends, it's that unquantifiable spark that lights the fire inside every successful entrepreneur. It's the zeal that keeps you burning the midnight oil. The stubborn flicker that refuses to be extinguished. The beacon that guides you through the dense fog of startup challenges. Combine these traits with those Dale's already laid out, and voila, you have a robust tech startup recipe. Of course, each startup, like a delicate dish, has its unique blend of flavors. The trick is finding the right balance that suits your palate and tantalizes those of your customers. Thanks for chiming in, folks. That rounds off our tech startup gourmet session. Now, let's add a fresh layer to this sinewy chat. Onwards and upwards.
Wow, Karma, it sounds like Cultivator Day 2 was truly a cornucopia of knowledge. Ha ha. I'm intrigued by this idea of the perceived brand. Brand recognition is like the aroma that pulls in your customers, right? Just as you said, Jared Henriquez put it all out there. Your brand should be a story, a purpose. Just like the smell of fresh bread wafting from a bakery can tell you a story about the love and care put into each loaf. Now onto this investment landscape. That's a swing, ain't it? The disruption in 2007, the revival with Shopify, and now AI being over-evaluated, while SaaS is leading the seed funding. It plays into the whole risk and resilience in tech startups. You've got to be agile, be ready to pivot, to keep trying different recipes till one sticks. And I feel that echoes with what Catherine Mitricki said about knowing your blind spots and reconciling stakeholder views. It's what Michelle hinted at in her call, tweaking the ingredients and their pairings, right? You need to be aware of the market needs and the competition, just like preparing a specialty dish that stands out in a menu. But equally important, don't forget the passion for your vision and the respect for your team, your customers. They're your sous chefs, your diners. What do you say, Karma? Do you think we've rustled up a fair startup recipe here? Back to you for the final garnish, my friend. Ha ha!
Dale, you're stirring the pot beautifully, my friend. I couldn't agree more. You compared the brand to an aroma, and I'd venture to say it's the tantalizing scent constantly drawing customers in, giving them a sense of identity, much like a baker's signature crusty bread. You're hitting the nail right on of a sourdough head, Dale. As for our investment stew, it indeed does have its twists and turns. The recipe has drastically evolved since the first venture capital footprints back in the 50s. It's intriguing how the disruption in 2007 initially kneaded the dough. And then we saw the rise with Shopify and recent trends showing dominance of SaaS in seed funding. It's a roller coaster of resilience, like artfully folding butter into a croissant dough, each layer adding flakiness and flavor. Michelle, oh, you've got gourmet wisdom there. It's all about tweaking ingredients and their pairings based on what the market, our hungry diners, crave. It's about that perfect blend of saison, histoire et passion, season, story, and passion. And let's not forget the team, both back and front of house. They are the cogs in the finely tuned culinary machine, key factors in convincing investors, our potential restaurant critics, that we are capable. Now, as we simmer on these profound aspects, let's ponder on what Saf Hashmi and Althea Wishloff from the BDC Seed Fund plus IT Venture Fund and Raven Indigenous Capital Partner respectively imparted. They cited the importance of shared vision and values with VC investors, of being fully aware of your competitor's menu, and the willing appetite to pivot your recipe not just once or twice, but at least 3 times. And so it goes, our startup pot au feu, simmering on a low heat, absorbing the flavors of resilience, adaptability, and fervor. Now that's something to get the saliva flowing, isn't it, Dale? Back to you, my friend. Ha ha!
Speaking of recipes, it's fascinating to think about how changes in the venture capital landscape might switch up the ingredients in this proverbial startup souffle, eh? Like Karma mentioned earlier, the ebb and flow of investment opportunities can seriously spice up or down the flavor of the startup sector. I'll bet those entrepreneurs getting the funding are like master chefs, adjusting their recipes on the fly as they knead in new venture capital. Ha! And speaking of baking measures, the interesting insights we've learned about building brand confidence from Jared, boy oh boy, it's like the sugar, spice, and everything nice of our grand startup recipe, ain't it? Oh, and the panel chat door moderated by Rob. Additional culinary words of wisdom tossed in our mix. It's like sourcing the finest ingredients from the very best suppliers. But hey, that's enough from me. Karma, what are your thoughts on how these ever-changing pinches and dashes in the funding milieu might alter the grand recipe? Put your chef's hat on, buddy, and make us a gourmet answer. Huh.
Ha ha, Dale. With your infectious enthusiasm, I'm surprised you haven't donned an apron yourself. Speaking of ever-changing pinches and dashes in funding, we witnessed quite a masterclass at Cultivator. Our Canadian entrepreneurs, true gastronomers of innovation, adapt to the shifting investment landscape just like a chef does to ingredients. Take Matt Roberts' discussion on the Canadian investment landscape, peppered with insights. He talked about strategic adjustments tech startups had to make due to changes in regulations. These disruptions made entrepreneurs rethink their strategies, refine their pitch, but also instilled resilience and adaptability, vital attributes for the success of a startup. This resilience, combined with a poignant brand vision, as Jared pointed out, becomes an entrepreneurial leitmotif. Jared walked us through the intrinsic needs of a robust, resilient brand identity, a story, purpose, vision, intentions, and desires. It's about having a brand that not only you are proud of, but also resonates with your target audience. That resonation is exactly what Catherine Mitricki drove home during her Q&A. Considering stakeholder and investor perspectives along with your decision-making crucial advice for all startup hopefuls. especially arraying investor surprises and frivolous spendings post-big investor influxes. Those are counterproductive in instilling investor confidence. That panel chat moderated by Rob and insights from Saf Hashmi and Althea Wishloff gave us a method to the startup madness, from choosing investors who share your vision to practicing diligence when it comes to understanding your lethal competitors and, of course, the significance of patient persistence, evidenced by the statistic that success usually strikes after the third pivot. So, Dale, in this grand scheme of startups, ever-changing elements, be it in funding, branding, or pivoting, do not necessarily alter the recipe. Instead, they enhance it, bringing out robust flavors which might have otherwise remained dormant. In fact, these changes, twists, and turns are what make the journey of a startup quite the palatable saga. And on that delicious note, let's feed our entrepreneurial appetites with more cultivator insights. I can't wait.
Absolutely, Karma. You know, I can't help but see these tech entrepreneurs as punk rockers creating their own sounds, their own rhythm inside this big tech concert. Building habits, making productive use of time, these aren't just factors for success. These are the driving beat of their startup as an anthem journey. And that concept of exit on the prairies session, man, that reminds me a lot of punk bands being true to their craft and deciding when's the right time to grab that golden mic. I mean, imagine the punk rock world if the Clash decided to exit at their peak. Learning the ins and outs of the process sure can influence an entrepreneur's choice to exit the startup scene or not. Speaking of staying true to the craft, I'm drawn to Janessa Olsen's advice about having a get-back-up mindset. Heck, it's all part of the punk ethos, right? You get knocked down, you get back up. You fight the status quo. You blaze your own trail. You play your music your way, despite the jeers, the setbacks, or the burnout, just like a fast and furious punk rock show. But in the end, it's all about the culture you build, the ecosystem you nurture, like Jordan McFarlane and Cultivator. The ecosystem part reminds me of a mosh pit. Everyone's looking out for each other, picking someone up if they fall, ensuring the synergy stays hardcore all through the gig. But tell me, Karma, you were there at Startup Summit and your insights have been a tour de force of entrepreneurial wisdom. Any last-minute wisdom or final thoughts on the punk rock ride of startup life and the takeaways for our dear listeners tuning in for the punk rock of tech wisdom? Over to you, buddy.
Dale, you've hit that punk rock analogy on the head. In the grand symphony of startups, one deviant chord can set the rhythm and make all the difference. True harmony lies not just in striking the right chord, but also in maintaining the tempo, knowing when to lead and when to exit the stage. And the maestros of our Startup Nightfall Festival have truly exemplified this. During the awakening illumination that the Startup Summit truly was, and contributing the baseline was our everyday hero, Tara Stubbins. Just like a steady rhythm sets the foundation for a musical masterpiece, productive tasks and their importance in success stood out, a reassuring drumbeat among the cacophony of distractions. Our movement through the beats of the day brought us to the chorus of the Exit on the Prairies, where, rather than fading out, the speakers left us wanting more with their resonating tips on keeping in tune with the evolving rules, regulations, and triumphantly closing with a standing ovation from the crowd. And who can forget Janessa Olsen's solo on the art of getting back up, emphasizing the importance of the interlude between the verses of success and failure, where setbacks were nothing but rests between the notes, allowing for profound reflection and renewed vigor. Wrapping up the day, Jordan McFarlane was the proverbial rock star, strumming along the strings of the cultivator's journey with a finesse that reverberated within each one of us. His perspectives painted a vivid story of triumphs, trials, and tenacity. And boom, there you have it, my fellow rockers of the entrepreneurial airwaves. Remember, every startup is like a band's debut album. There will be high notes and low notes, a mosh pit of challenges and moments when you are on top of the world. Every hit and miss is part of the arrangement that will eventually lead to your chartbuster. So Dale, let's continue rocking this radio gig and serenading our listeners on their punk rock ride of startup life. Your turn, buddy.
Absolutely, May. Welcome to our anarchic chat fest. You're live with Dale and Karma, ready to punk rock your way through the chaos of startup wonderland. Unleash your burning queries, observations, or just crazy out-of-box ideas. The stage is all yours. So let's crank the volume to 11 and dive headfirst into your tech tales, all right? And remember, no holds barred in this mosh pit of ideas, so don't be shy.
those insights streaming in from the Startup Summit, pearls of wisdom which bristle with the raw energy of 1,000 powerhouse gigs. The sonic boom resonating from Tara Stubbins' doctrines of habit transformation was indeed a performance to remember. As she firmly put down, small wins can kindle that spark of motivation, lighting up the path towards a fulfilling life colored with meaningful moments. Tara's message for our listeners? If we hone our focus and channel the energy into what truly impacts our lives, we can transcend beyond being marionettes to our phones. Don't you agree? Turn productivity into a riveting encore performance rather than being lost in the static of mundane maintenance tasks. Now, the Symphony of Exit on the Prairies certainly had me headbanging to the rhythm. The curtain fall with our brilliant maestro, Jordan McFarlane, recounting the journey of Cultivator was truly the crowning glory of the event. Building ecosystems and rooting for change. Now, that's a true rock god's mantra. We can't all be the frontman on the main stage, but we can all contribute to the symphony of innovation. So, let's commit to that beat, shall we? Dear listeners, remember, the mosh pit of entrepreneurship is here for anyone who dares to take the challenge. So dive in, let your voice roar with your own music, and who knows, yours could be the next soulful solo to echo in the halls of startup legends. Over to you, Dale.
Whoa, Karma, that's quite the rundown. I'm gnawing at the bit here, just itching to have witnessed all that knowledge splattering out from the speakers like a power cord through a maxed-out vintage Marshall stack. I mean, Tara Stubbins' points on time management and the Take It Easy group his emphasis on meaningful moments totally resound with me. And whoa, the exit chat, the cautionary tales when it comes to startup exits, seems like a steep learning curve, ain't it? Guess I better familiarize myself with venture deals and all that financial jargon. Now, Janessa Olson's resilient perspective resonates so much with startup culture, doesn't it? Nothing quite like a good comeback story. Those bites about burnout and running your own race sound like punk ethos to me. Love it. It's clear, buddy, all this invaluable insight is bound to influence. We're going to shape our exciting journey ahead with Start. I'm set to take notes from your anarchy-filled entrepreneurial tales, Karma. So buckle up, listeners. Next time we're going to dive into the deep end of the tech footprint on the prairies here at Regina. It's going to be a head-banging blast. Over to you, Karma.
All right, you lovable startup junkies. Fling those headphones on your ears and buckle in because we're wrapping up another exhilarating session of Conexus Cultivator Startup Summit. I know, the tears are already welling up in my eyes too. To treat your post-show blues, let's pay our tributes to one entity who truly knows how to pack a punch. Cultivator, powered by Conexus. Fancy launching a brilliant idea? Or perhaps need help skyrocketing your innovative Sask startup? Leave it onto Cultivator, our mini superhero straight from the heart of Regina. And let's not forget, our brains could do with a little sprouting. A wise man once said, all right, maybe I just made that up right now, haha. But our sponsor, Conexus Credit Union, they are out here making all sorts of magic happen with their business incubator, powering all you trailblazing founders to start, grow, and do a little happy dance as your ventures scale up. Now, my exhilarating entrepreneurs, our tales of tech titan triumphs and startup shenanigans will be back next week. Dale's already concocted a smorgasbord of tantalizing topics for our next show. Between you and me, I caught a sneak peek, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. Juice up on that caffeine because every Friday night at 11 o'clock we are here, transforming your airwaves into a real startup shindig. Say it with me. Startups, stand up! There's no better way to kickstart your weekends. And with that, it's time to sign off. Remember, folks, in the world of startups, it's always day one. Until next time, stay curious, stay audacious, stay Startup Summit strong, over and out. Good night.